What's up, YouTube? So the project I'm doing, my winter project on the S10, is during Black Friday I got a 671 blower from Speedmaster. So I know they're not the greatest reputation of company. I've used a lot of their products and I haven't had really any problems. And all the problems I've had, they've had pretty decent customer service for me. I'm sure not everybody had that experience, but that's how mine was. So I don't mind them as a company. I've seen the things they did with their valve body for their Ford transmissions. But it is what it is. During Black Friday, I got the 671 blower for like $1,800 off of original price. I got it for a small block Chevy. I have a 355. It's really set up for nitrous. It does have ring gap, but I also didn't set up. I put the bigger pulley on the blower and the smaller one on the crank, so it wouldn't have as much boost. Just trying to get everything straightened out, and maybe down the road I can have a blower motor, But I figure I'll show you some of the things I had to do to get it in the S10. Now granted, I do have a motor plate, and it was pretty much set up for a small block. I'll explain some of the things I had to do and whatnot, but I'll flip you around and so you can see what I had to do. Okay, so here's the setup. First off, their intake. There's another video where the guy on the back bolt over here had to grind it and stuff. You should probably do that. Original hardware won't fit with a washer. I actually just end up using an Allen head and 3/8 Allen head, 1 inch long, with no washer, and it fit perfectly. It sits flush and everything, so I'm just gonna leave that at that. All the other ones I was able to use with no problems. Also on the lower intake, to get my valve covers on and off, I had to grind the edge of the intake where it's facing the valve cover, the bottom edge, and put a 45-degree slant or so, and I actually didn't go quite enough. It's still a little hard to get the valve cover in and out, so I'd grind quite a bit. You probably want, the gap that, or the width that's on the edge here, I'd probably half of that, cut it in half and 45 up to that point. And then also I had to Dremel out the a half circle right there so I can get my socket in the hole to tighten up the valve covers. I had to do that to the one on that side. The other one I was able to get, but then both of them on this side I had to do the same thing. Same with grinding the intake on a 45. I had to cut that out. And then it gets pretty tight back here too, where the distributor is. I have an MSD Pro billet, the small one, coils inside the truck, but it's super tight. So those two things kind of suck, but it is what it is. For my water neck, I have the -20 AN fittings welded on my radiator, and then the fittings here and the hose. And I didn't really want to fucking take it apart because these are what I had on the other motor. -20 really sucked to put together, but I ended up getting a different water neck than what I had. This is what I had in it. I welded it on, and then it threads into there. Well, every time you take it off, you had to hang on to this because it would unthread. So I got this water neck. It's like a $19 water neck from Jigs. This aluminum one, 90 degrees. And then I welded on that Dash 20 bung. And it's nice and solid. There's plenty of room in here. And I don't have to hold a wrench on it. I can just tighten it up. My thermostat I got in there. I drill a 1/8 inch hole. I put that at the top to kind of bleed the air out of the system. My coolant temperature gauge, I had to run in this back port. And on the other side, I had to do my electric fan switch. For my radiator, I had to trim away the sides to get enough room for it to fit. And then on the edge right here, I have a piece of metal I put in there and kind of to finish it off so it didn't look like just open. Same with this side where I had to cut this all open. I put a piece of metal in there and finished it all off. This side I didn't have to cut anything. I just cut it all off that side, so it kind of shifted it over. For the mounts, it originally mounted in the stock mounts with the rubber, but I had to put it inside the radiator core otherwise it didn't have much room. So I ended up moving it in from the edge, 1 1/8 inch, and then figured out where I needed to space this, and then where the little pin on the bottom, it's aluminum pin on the bottom of the radiator, it's like 0.550 round pin, so almost 9/16 I think that is, between 9/16 and 1/2 inch. I'm sure it's metric. It's probably some type of Chinese size because it is a eBay radiator. But when I drilled my hole, I drilled a 1 inch hole, and then I made a plastic bushing that went into the lower radiators or the core support. And then it's kind of like a T bushing, you know, it's got like a washer and then the 1 inch, so it's 1.5 inches, about 0.1 thick top, and then it goes into a 1 inch with a 0.578 hole through the center of it. I did 2 of those, 1 on each side, and those are my lower bushings, so it's not sitting on metal and it's plastic. And then on the top I have this, which it just kind of captured it. It's holding it pretty good. I think I'm gonna make a plate that kind of goes over here and covers it up and cleans it up. But as long as it's in there and holding right now, I'm not going out riding. It's winter here, so the roads are all salty, and so it's not going on the roads. Lower radiator hose, I had problems with that before with the other setup. It was just so tight with the Dash 20 in there, and it always leaked, and I couldn't get the fitting on there to not leak right on that. It's a Proform electric water pump. So I ended up getting another piece that goes in there, but it was like for a normal hose. I think it's for like 1.25 inch hose. And then I got a Dash 20 push fitting, straight push fitting, which it was the same size hose that it needed as the Proform just straight one. And then that's, I believe, the upper radiator hose on a S10 with the 4.3 in it. And it happened to have the right spot. I had to cut a little off one end, and then it had like a 90 degree right there. I had cut that off, and it just fit perfect. It had this piece on here for chafing, you know, going against other metal. Cleaned it up, and I even used the 1 clamps. So I'll try those. They seem tight. If not, I'll just put normal hose clamps on. But that was always such a problem before with that Dash 20, getting it on, and the hose was always stiff. This fits so nice with the electric water pump. So I do have to get my alternator in here. Here's my wiring for the alternator. I'm gonna make a bracket mounting off the frame, the roll cage frame, and I'll do a full-size one-wire alternator. It'll go here, and then I'll make some type of bracket either off of here or incorporate the head so it's solid, and have it a normal size with a V-belt. Then I'll put the big belt on it, and then that should be good. I didn't have to do anything with my exhaust, my fuel line. Before I had my fuel line, this is the feed line. Before I had that go into my carb on this side, and then it'd come out, you know, out here, and then go here and then return. So it was a return style, but it'll still return here to here, and then it's tying the dead heads up to the carb right there. It's an ATM carburetor, 1050. I had it made for the setup. I am waiting for a 1/2 inch aluminum spacer. It is boost reference. For the boost reference line, I have a fitting on the back of the lower part of the intake. I did the push fitting, and then they have a barb fitting. All I had to do is heat up the line and get it soft, and then push straight on and just let it cool. And then I put a quick detach right here. That way, if you need it, you don't have to try to squeak your hand back there. So the valve covers and everything, they do come off, but it's a little hard. I do have a balancer on there. It's just my stock balancer. It's not any type of aftermarket one. Like I said, this ain't really a blower motor. It's not double keywayed. I did have to machine the V-belt pulley on here, because it's normally got like a 2-inch receiver that goes into the balancer. Well, mine's like inch and something, so I had to reduce that and got that on, and then all bolted up really nice, and then the pulleys line up really good. I did put colder plugs in here. I have Edelbrock heads. They normally took the RC12YC. I did the RC9YC. So I'll see how that goes. And then for the ignition, I have in here, I know I could run it with it. It's a MSD 6AL-2 programmable, but I have the MSD 6DT I want to put in here. Just nice and simple, and you don't have to program nothing. So I'm going to put that in. The wiring out here is all done. There's not much. It's like water pump, alternator, which that wires goes all the way back to the battery. I got my fan switch, and then my temperature gauge, and then the starter wire. That is really all the wiring hooked up to the motor on this side. And then I do have like a line lock, and my other lights go into the back. So, but the radiator turned out pretty good. It fits in there good. And then I'll make that plate where it kind of covers up this, and then leaves this little part open. Covers that. Maybe out aluminum or something. And then I fucked my fender up. So I'll have to get a new fender. And then once I get the alternator mounted, I'll do another little video on that. I should have my 1/2 inch carb plate, so that'll be all finished off. So yeah, that's the project. I didn't want to do the belt right now just for the fact that I'm doing the alternator and I don't know what belt I need and I don't have to keep taking it off. So yeah, so that's the project. Once I get the MSD box in there, I'll record a little thing on that along with the alternator, and maybe do a fire up or something, see how it starts. Not gonna lie, if I start it, I might start it beforehand too. I don't have to experience everything with you guys. But all right, thanks guys. I appreciate you watching and subscribing, and I'll see you next time.